Many of us have come to the realization that the 2010s has been an era defined by innovation and reinventing the game as we know it. And it got me thinking, what will the future of the NBA look like? If you told me 15 years ago that we'd see big men shooting the way they do right now, if you told me that the post game would be obsolete and that the mid-range would be dead, I would call you crazy. What are some aspects of the game that will be reinvented? How will the game look in, let's say, 2035? I would invite you guys to be open-minded today, as no one will really know what the trends will be and what the game will look like, not at least for, 5 years. And by then, you'd probably forget that this video existed in the first place. Now, shout out to this article by runrepeat.com, I'll leave a link in the description for it, as it specifically highlights a lot of long-term trends in the NBA, specifically when it comes to height and weight, and how these trends have looked since the 1950s. I personally think we can learn a lot from the data in this article. It can extrapolate a lot from it. However, the main graph that I want to look at for this video is this graph on the screen right now. This graph looks at the average height by position and how it's changed from the 1950s to 2018. The first thing I want to do is look at the bottom half of this graph. The bottom half of this graph shows the average height of point guards and shooting guards over time. Notice that guards are getting taller, starting from 5'11" to 6 feet in the 1950s, creeping its way up to 6'2", 6'3" by 2018. Notice as well that big men, specifically at the end, are getting slowly shorter. If you look at 1985, the average for centers is around a flat 7 foot, but as time passes, if we draw a line of best fit from 1985 to 2018, you would see a slight negative slope. Small forwards, however, are still in the middle and relatively speaking are the least affected. But I want to focus at the endpoints of the data. Notice how they're kind of narrowing and kind of converging. I think this is a sign that in the future, it looks like the range of NBA heights is narrowing. For the past 3 decades, it's been in the 6 foot to 7 foot range, but by 2035, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just from, let's say, 6'3" to the 6'11" range. And a big part of this has been the reinventing of NBA positions. I mean, let's just look at a couple of examples. Taller, more versatile guards are gonna be preferred over the traditional 6'2", 6'3" point guard. I mean, look at the top guard prospects the past 5 to 6 years. Luka, Ben Simmons, Lonzo, LaMelo, Markelle, D'Angelo. Look at how players like James Harden and LeBron and Brandon Ingram are being used. These are examples that show that taller guards, more versatile guards are being preferred and looked at more than, the traditional Patty Mills type point guard. Next, we can look at bigs, and I feel like in the future, bigs with better ball handling, that are quicker, more agile, and can spread the floor will be more preferred than simply some tall guy that can clog the lane and has a decent post game. Look at how effective Draymond and PJ Tucker have been as bigs despite their height. Look how Jahlil Okafor's stock decreased dramatically in a matter of 1 or 2 years. Look at how Jason Tatum and Pascal Siakam are being used at the 4. Look at players like Bam Adebayo, Kristaps Porzingis, Joel Embiid, Karl Anthony Towns. Bigs that have added guard-like skills to their game that would be extremely rare in, let's say, 2003, 2004. I mean, there are only a handful of players that can shoot the 3 and be elite at the same time, namely Dirk Nowitzki, which is why he's so significant. But now in the modern NBA, we have so many examples of this. And I feel like the traditional shot creator wing, I believe will simply get taller. The production you would expect from a guard like Kobe or D Wade or a Vince Carter will be filled by the Paul Georges and the Kawhis and the Jason Tatums, which I know technically are forwards, but as far as shot creation, these are the guys that will be filling that role. Instead of looking for the 6'4", 6'6" shooting guard, in the future you would look more in the 6'7" to 6'9" small forward or even power forward for this production. The name of the game will be ball handling, versatility, and shooting. In the past, a position may only require 1 or 2 of these things. In the past, you didn't require a center to have amazing passing ability, or great shooting skills or even ball handling skills. You just had to be tall, block shots, and catch lobs. In the past, you didn't expect point guards to defend small forwards and even power forwards at times. All you had to do was be a good passer, shoot, and be quick. And even from small forwards, you didn't expect small forwards to have great passing ability or defense centers and point guards, but now to be a good to great small forward, you have to do all of that. Like I said in the past, a position may only require 1 or 2 main skills, but in the future, all the positions will require all 3. Now, the downside to this trend is that since the 2000s and even the late 90s, we've kind of had this perception that anyone can make it to the NBA and the barrier to entry is more based on skill than height alone. I mean, with big men getting shorter and players like Steph Curry and Damian Lillard and Allen Iverson and even Isaiah Thomas in that stretch dominating the way they have, I mean, it should be like that, right? But in fact, when you look at the overall trend, when you look at what's actually produced championships, in fact, it's actually produced the opposite effect. As the game has expanded and continues to expand globally, the more competition there is for talent. Instead of just looking for the best colleges in the nation, the NBA is looking at the best players in the world, period. And this can create some freakish combinations like Luka Doncic and Giannis and Kristaps that have come to the scene already. It's a trend that can be discouraging and will make making the NBA harder in some aspects, but for fans, these trends are going to bring truly the best of the best into the league. Once again, I will leave the article by runrepeat.com in the comment section and in the description for you guys to read. I think it's a great read. All the data he puts in it pretty much points to these trends. I just kind of, made it into simpler terms and extrapolated from it more instead of, showing graphs on the screen. But it's still a great article that gives a lot of in-depth statistics and insight into it. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like on the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.